Please subscribe.
Few crossovers do so much with so little, like the 2018 Mazda CX3. The compact SUV has a relatively simple look that resonates with us. Effort isn't the same as better. The CX3 also counts advanced safety features among its skill set, increasingly commonplace for smaller cars, but strangely missing from cars that cost more than twice the CX3 entry ask of $21,050, which includes destination. It turns a 6.5 on our overall scale thanks to its good looks and competitive fuel economy. Its Achilles heel is interior room, predictably tight for a crossover with such a small footprint. This year's CX3 is offered in Sport, Touring, and Grand Touring trims, which all receive standard advanced safety features this year. The system, which Mazda calls Smart City Brake Support, can help avoid front crashes at speeds slower than 19 miles per hour. The rest of the CX3 lineup is fairly uncomplicated too. Just a single-engine transmission combination powers the compact crossover down the road, a 2.0-liter inline-4 paired to a 6-speed automatic. Acceleration is unexciting, but the handling makes up for it. Mazda's goal over the past few years has been to constantly smooth over edges around its crossovers and cars, and the CX3 is no different. New bushings, control arms, engine mounts and more sound-deadening material could quietly improve the things we like about the CX3. What they can't improve is the rear seat room, which is best considered as an occasional penalty box for in-laws. Fold the seats down and the CX3 gets more than 44 cubic feet of cargo room, which isn't class-leading but more than helpful. The 2018 Mazda CX3 is a fresh start for small crossovers, a tall riding hatch that works so well on the outside that we say is exceptional. It translates a larger Mazda design language into a smaller shape that isn't overly complicated or busy. Next to its rival, the Toyota CHR, the Mazda CX3 emphasizes that busier isn't better. Those good feelings don't necessarily make their way into the cabin, but it's not bad. We give it 2 points over average for the exterior and land at a 7 out of 10 for style. A lot has been written about Mazda's design strategy, and the automaker is rightfully proud of its exteriors. By our eyes, it's simple and straightforward, with a mix of simple creases on the hood and down the door panels to help shift light in the right ways. The black window frames don't necessarily jibe with some of Mazda's other crossover designs, but we're not picky. Bigger wheels better fill out the arches. 18 inches come standard on touring trims and higher. Inside, the cabin is a mix of good materials and not so good-looking instruments. The dash is wrapped in soft touch elements that belie the CX3's starting price of $21,050. Rugged air conditioning controls aren't out of place, but we take issue with the instrument cluster that looks very dated. The monochrome look was old a few years ago. A head-up display is a nice option to have, but we've found that in the past it's not very easily read and could be easily skipped. The 2018 Mazda CX3 respects your time with its powertrain options, with or without all-wheel drive. Every version of the CX3 is powered by a 2.0-liter inline-4 that makes 146 horsepower and 146 pound-feet of torque. A 6-speed automatic is standard fare too, regardless of trim. Neither one are particularly overwhelming, but they're not bad. Mazda succeeds in the little things that improve handling beyond rivals. It turns a point above average there for a 6 out of 10. The engine is best at a highway pace, 70 miles per hour at 2,300 revolutions per minute. Around town, the busy engine growls and grumbles getting up to speed. That's not living its best life. According to Mazda, more sound-deadening material has been added to make the experience quieter, but we haven't yet sampled those cars. The automatic is mercifully not of a continuously variable variety. It's a traditional 6-speed automatic that performs adequately and keeps the CX3 hovering around 30 miles per gallon. Grand Touring trimmed CX3s get standard paddle shifters, which help the small Mazda crossover wring out the most from its busy engine, but sadly the shifters are not available on lower trims, even as an option. Steering and handling are the CX3's forte, and Mazda says they've improved the crossover's response. Revised bushings, control arms, and revised dampers should help overall handling, but we haven't yet driven those cars. We'll update this space once we have. The available all-wheel drive system, which costs $1,250 on every trim level, adds sure-footedness for all weather conditions. Adding more driven wheels drops fuel economy 2 miles per gallon across the board, but Mazda's system quickly engages to find traction in slippery conditions. This year, Mazda added its corporate G-vectoring control system that uses small torque adjustments to plant weight on the right wheels to increase maneuverability and cut down on head toss. In other applications, we've found that it works imperceptibly. It's another addition that Mazda frequently uses to get the little things right to make a relatively big difference. The 2018 Mazda CX3 borrows most of its looks from Mazda's sedans, which we appreciate. Starting from an average score of 5, we take 1 point back for a rear seat suitable for in-laws. The CX5 is fairly versatile as a hatchback, but only if you drop the rear seats. That's fine for front seat riders who are afforded excellent outward vision and a good ride height. The news isn't so good for rear seat passengers that, in addition to somewhat cramped rear leg room, also pay the price for a sloped roofline that cuts into available head space. The CX3 sports just 101.2 inches between its wheels, which means it needs to make the most of its available space. It does just that, for the most part. Driver and front seat passenger get enough room for most body types, and the base seats aren't bad either. Rear seat passengers get scant leg room and bear the brunt of a curved roofline and rising belt line that makes sitting in the back a veritably dim affair. Just 12.4 cubes of cargo space are available behind the second row, not much more than the trunk of a sedan, but tumble the split folding rear seats down, and that space opens up to more than 44 cubic feet. We suspect, nay hope, that most CX3 shoppers will be considering the crossover for themselves and occasionally one other passenger in most instances. According to Mazda, this year's CX3 includes more sound-deadening material that will make the cabin quieter. We haven't yet driven a new model with these features, but we'll update this space when we do. The 2018 Mazda CX3 has an enviable safety scorecard with newly standard safety equipment on every model. That note keeps the Mazda CX3 from earning a higher score on our scale. We land at a 7. Independent testers from the US gave the small crossover its highest award, top safety pick, after it turned top good scores on all crash tests, a superior score for its front crash prevention technology, and its headlights on Grand Touring trims earned an acceptable rating. Federal testers largely agree. The CX3 earned a 5-star overall rating, including a 4-star score for rollover crash safety, relatively common for tall-riding crossovers. The CX3's only demerit is a note that a side impact crash on the passenger side may protrude further into the cabin than normal and could result in a higher likelihood for injury. The big news this year is the addition of low-speed automatic emergency braking to all versions of the CX3, which is thankfully quickly becoming regular for small cars. The system, which Mazda dubs Smart City Brake Support, can automatically brake the car at speeds 19 miles per hour or slower. The US hasn't yet rated the system independently from its optional add-on that can slow the car at highway speeds. That higher speed system, which is optional on top-trim Grand Touring CX3s, is bundled together with adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, adaptive headlights, and a head-up display. Outside of optional packages, the 2018 Mazda CX3 comes standard with the full complement of airbags, stability and traction control systems, and a throttle-based steering support system called G-vectoring control. The system uses engine-to-work variations to imperceptibly shift weight to front wheels to cut a sharper line around corners. All-wheel drive is optional on all models for $1,250, which could further aid maneuverability. The big news for the 2018 Mazda CX3 is what comes standard this year, not what's optional. Low-speed automatic emergency braking is basic equipment on every model this year, complementing a good set of features that we liked already. We cover the now standard safety gear above, so we won't spoil the fun. In addition to the advanced safety features, the base Mazda CX3 Sport trim includes cloth upholstery, 16-inch wheels, keyless ignition, a rear-view camera, 2 USB ports, and a 7.0-inch infotainment touchscreen with Bluetooth connectivity. That's good base equipment, and the touchscreen is impressive for a car that starts just north of $21,000. We have another point for good optional equipment that's not only reasonably priced, but also forgoes the frequent tendency by automakers to clump together the things you want with other things you don't. It's not all good news. We take a point back for a finicky infotainment system that desperately needs respite from Apple CarPlay or Android Auto capability. We land at a 7 for features. Stepping up to the mid-grade Mazda CX3 touring trim level adds 18-inch wheels, synthetic leather upholstery, heated front seats, automatic headlights, automatic climate control, proximity key, blind spot monitors with rear cross-traffic alert, and a leather-wrapped shift knob. A popular equipment add-on for the touring trim level can add premium audio by Bose, a moonroof, and satellite radio for $1,410. Top-shelf Mazda CX3 Grand Touring trims get all of the above in leather upholstery, LED lights, navigation, and a head-up display. The final stop for the CX3 is a $1,435 premium package for Grand Touring trimmed cars that adds adaptive cruise control, power front seats, heated steering wheel, lane departure warnings, and automatic high beams. All-wheel drive is optional on every trim level for $1,250. Premium paint swatches add $200 to $300 to the bottom line. Despite skipping some recent fuel efficiency technology, the 2018 Mazda CX3 is competitive among small crossovers for mileage. All versions will manage nearly 30 miles per gallon combined. That's good enough for a 7 out of 10 on our fuel efficiency scale. Front-drive versions of the Mazda CX3 are the most frugal. According to the EPA, they're rated at 29 miles per gallon city, 34 highway, 31 combined. Opting for all-wheel drive adds nearly 150 pounds of running gear and drops mileage down to 27/32/29 of a mile per gallon. That's a relatively steep penalty for the hardware, but it hardly makes the CX3 a gas guzzler. Among small crossovers, the CX3 is competitive with its relative lack of thirst. The Honda HR-V is rated around 30 miles per gallon combined for most versions, as is the Subaru Crosstrek, which is all-wheel drive by default. The Toyota CHR, which is front-wheel drive only, is rated around 30 miles per gallon too. Any better than that requires a hybrid powertrain.